Shooting Gallery Targets, more commonly known simply as Shooting Gallery, was released in 1972 for the Magnavox Odyssey. It was the first ever commercially released light gun for a home console. The used light gun is referred to as electric rifle in the manual, but is called Rifletronix on the PCB and in technical documents. It feels really nice and is of a high build quality. The pump action, which is used to reload the gun, is under spring tension and actually sets a striker which is propelled against an obstacle upon shooting. This yields in mild recoil and a very audible sound upon shooting. A similar technique was later used by Radica in the Hunting light gun series. The trigger is made of solid metal, reminiscent to the American laser game light guns. The side picture can be elevation adjusted by a slotted screw. All screws are held in place by metal nuts, allowing anybody to open this 1972 light gun without any risk of damage. The heart of the Rifletronix is a light-dependent resistor. The sensitivity of the rifle can be adjusted by a potentiometer on the PCB. The Rifletronix was made by Nintendo for Magnavox. At that time, Nintendo was selling a light-sensitive toy line called Kosenjeiyu, which translates to ray gun. The Rifletronix uses the shell of one of these toys, as still can be seen by the here non-functional battery tray inside the rifle. This first involvement of Nintendo into the video games industry was also the beginning of their long tradition of bullying business partners. Nintendo didn't feel like paying royalties for their Pong systems to Magnavox, and so they attacked the concerned patents. Interestingly, the Rifletronix wasn't what made Nintendo designing their Resakure Shageki Systeme, or laser clay shooting system, which would evolve into the light gun arcade games after the international 1973 oil crisis, as development thereof began already independently in 1971. The Shooting Gallery target games are about a target dot. If it is shot, it disappears. Reloading the rifle will cause the target to reappear. In order to play the games, the player would tape a polymer foil onto the TV screen as a substitute for graphics. These overlays came in two sizes, either a diagonal distance of 46 cm or 58 cm. The games were realized by the means of jumper cartridges, which modified the logic of the Odyssey by interconnecting certain portions of the console. Two cartridges for light gun games were made, simply called number 9 and number 10. All games but Shooting Gallery use cartridge number 9. Shooting Gallery Targets consists of 4 different games. The first one was called Prehistoric Safari. Player 2 puts the target into a dinosaur. Player 1 tries to shoot the static target. The number of hit targets is counted. After each shot, player 2 shifts the target to another dinosaur. This is repeated for a total of 15 shots. Then the roles of the players are switched. A game variant exists in which every type of shot dinosaur yields in a different amount of points. The second game is called Dogfight. It takes place during the First World War. Player 2 steers the target, which represents the Red Baron, along the dashed line. Getting off track counts as a hit. Player 1 tries to shoot the target whenever it appears in one of the circles. Hitting a plane will score a point. Player 2 then carries on to fly along the track. To prolong the game, player 2 has to fly a specific pattern which will repeat certain portions once. After completion, the roles of the players are switched. Game 3 is called Shootout. Player 2 takes the role of the Dalton gang and has to go away through the map, which passes all insecure spots. The manual suggests one particular route, but the choice is free. In all of these spots, player 2 has to wait until the words "You will never get me, Sheriff" were spoken. Player 1 is the sheriff and tries to shoot player 2 as often as possible. After finishing a match, the roles of the players are switched. The last game is called Shooting Gallery. It is the only Odyssey light gun game which can be played as single player. The 2-player dots are placed at one side of the screen each, while the ball is traveling between them. The player tries to shoot the targets as they move 10 times back and forth. The game starts off with shooting planes, then continues with rabbits and ducks, and concludes in shooting boats. A game variant exists in which each kind of hit target scores a different amount of points. The box is held in the same art style as the other Magnavox Odyssey products and shows the 4 overlays. I had lots of fun with shooting gallery targets and the Odyssey in general. I ended up recreating certain boards, designing new boards and making a video modification. I plan to make a follow-up video at some time to cover these projects in more detail. This is the end of the review. My name is Ben. I thank you for viewing.